The sun had not fully risen when the smell of frying akara spread through the village of Ajegunle. The sweet, hot scent made people's stomachs turn with hunger. Every morning, children ran ahead of their mothers to join the line at Madame Mercy's stall. She was the akara seller everyone loved. Her akara was soft inside, crispy outside, and tasted better than any other woman's. Even people who hated beans loved Madame Mercy's akara. Some said she had a secret recipe. Others said she prayed over her food. Whatever it was, no one cared, they only wanted more. Madame Mercy, please give me 5 wraps, shouted a woman rushing to the stall with her child. Make it 6. My husband will not eat until he tastes yours. Another added. Madame Mercy always smiled. Her gap-toothed grin and heavy laughter made people feel welcome. She tied her wrapper tightly around her waist, sweat shining on her dark forehead as she turned akara balls in sizzling red oil. And her akara, her akara, soft inside, golden brown outside, with a taste that made even strangers passing through stop and buy. People swore it was the sweetest in the land. Madame Mercy is a blessing, they said. Even the dead would rise if they smelled her akara. But it was not always like this. Mercy was not always the woman they called Madame Mercy. Before the akara, before the blessings, she was just a hungry widow with nothing but shame. Before they called her Madame Mercy, her name was simply Mercy, a widow. She had the kind of beauty that made men stop and stare. Her waist curved like a river. Her chest was full, her dark skin smooth like polished palm kernel. When she laughed, her gap tooth flashed like sunlight breaking through clouds. But beauty does not fill the stomach. She came into Ajegunle with nothing but a bundle of clothes and grief. Her husband had died in another town, leaving her childless, poor, and without family. No one knew her roots. Some whispered she had quarreled with her people. Others said misfortune had chased her away. Mercy only knew one thing. She must survive. She tried selling firewood. Nobody bought. She tried carrying baskets in the market. The women pushed her aside. Finally, she decided to fry akara. She bought beans, peeled them with tired hands, ground them with pepper and onion, and dropped spoonfuls into hot oil. The akara balls hissed and floated round and golden. She arranged them neatly on a tray and waited. But nobody came to buy it. The women mocked her. See her wide waist. She thinks she can sell akara just with her beauty. Children spat out the pieces she gave them for free. Men sniffed and walked away. Mercy sat there all morning, sweat dripping, heart burning with shame. By evening, her akara was still untouched. That night, she lay awake on her raffia mat, staring at the roof of her small hut. Tears slid into her ears as she whispered, God, why me? If this is a test, I'm drowning. I can't go on like this. I cannot. Her stomach growled. Her pride broke. For the first time, Mercy felt the weight of despair pressing on her chest. The next evening, Mercy sat outside her hut, her wrapper loose, her face tired. The shame of unsold akara still burned her chest. She thought of leaving Ajegunle, but where would she go? Just then, a familiar voice called, Mercy. It was Ngozi, her friend sharp-tongued, restless, and always carrying gossip on her lips. She sat beside Mercy, glancing around to be sure no one was listening. I see your struggle, Ngozi said quietly. You fry from morning till night, yet nobody buys. Mercy sighed. Ngozi, my hands have no blessing. I don't know what to do. Ngozi leaned closer, her eyes glinting. Do you want my advice? There is a herbalist in the next village, Baba Alawo. Women go to him when their trade is failing. He gives them things that work. Mercy's brows tightened. Herbalist? Ngozi, is that good? Will God not be angry? Ngozi laughed. Do you think the other women survive with beans alone? My sister, this world is deep. If you don't hold something, hunger will kill you. Go and see Baba Alawo. You will thank me later. That night, Mercy tossed on her mats, staring into the dark. The words of the market women still echoed in her ears. Her akara is tasteless. Hunger pressed her ribs. Pride stabbed her heart. By dawn, she made her decision. She tied her wrapper tightly, covered her head with a scarf, and walked down the narrow bush path toward the next village. The sun was barely rising when Mercy reached his compound. The hut was low and wide. Its doorway hung with dried raffia and bottles that clinked softly in the breeze. Feathers and bones littered the ground. Smoke curled from a clay pot. Mercy's feet trembled, but hunger pushed her forward. Who comes? A voice boomed from inside. My name is Mercy, she stammered. I sell akara, but nobody buys. The raffia curtain shifted, and Baba Alawo appeared. He was tall, with chalk marks across his forehead and yellow eyes that seemed to see through her. He studied her in silence, then nodded slowly. You are beautiful, he said at last. But beauty alone does not cook sweet Akara. You need power. You need sacrifice. Mercy bent her knees slightly, her voice trembling. Please, Baba, help me. I am ready to do anything. Just let my Akara sell. It's... Baba Alawo smiled, showing brown, crooked teeth. He disappeared into the hut and returned with a small black pouch and a clay bottle of liquid. He placed them in her hands. Listen carefully, he said, his voice low. Buy your beans as usual. Grind them as usual. But when you mix, pour in this powder, add from this bottle, and... He leaned closer, his hot breath brushing her ear. Every time you grind beans, add your own urine. That is the seal. That is what will bind them to your Akara. Once they taste it, they will not eat another's. They will forget their wives, their children. They will live only for your Akara. Mercy shivered. Urine. Yes, Baba Alawo said firmly. Your body is the key. Your water is the sacrifice. Do this, and you will never lack customers. He paused, his eyes narrowing. His voice dropped even lower. But hear me well, Mercy. Never eat your own Akara. Not one ball. Not one piece. If you do, the death inside it will return to you and it will not let you go. Mercy's lips trembled, but hunger swallowed her fear. She clutched the pouch and bottle to her chest. I understand, she whispered. Baba Alawo's laugh echoed through the hut, deep and heavy. Good. Go, woman. Fry. The world will eat from your hand, but remember, your own mouth must never taste it. Mercy bowed her head. Hunger pushed her feet back toward Ajegunle. By the next morning, her life would never be the same. The next morning, Mercy rose before the Sunday. Her heart pounded as she set her pot on the fire. She washed, peeled, and ground her beans just as always, but this time was different. She opened the black pouch and poured the fine powder into the paste. She uncorked the clay bottle and added the bitter-smelling liquid. Her hands trembled, but she remembered Baba Alawo's words. Finally, she squatted low and added her urine, mixing it quickly with her fingers. She whispered a shaky prayer not to God, but to whatever spirit would hear her. Let them eat. Let them never stop eating. When she dropped the first spoonful into the hot oil, the Akara hissed louder than usual. It rolled in the pot, swelling round and golden. The smell rose higher than before, sweeter, sharper, thick enough to fill the whole square. Mercy's eyes widened. It is working, she whispered. Before long, children sniffed the air and came running barefoot, their eyes wide with hunger. Mothers followed with coins in their fists. Men abandoned their hoes and baskets. Mercy, give me 5 wraps. Quick, quick, before it finishes. I come here first. The crowd pushed, their voices desperate. Mercy's hands moved fast, turning ball after ball, her forehead shining with sweat, her wrapper tight around her waist. Her gap-toothed smile grew wider with every coin that clinked into her calabash. By midday, the pot was empty. Still, the crowd begged for more. A fight even broke out between 2 men who wanted the last piece. That night, Mercy lay on her mat smiling for the first time. The shame was gone. The hunger was gone. Her Akara was now the talk of Ajegunle. Morning in the village was never the same again. Before the sun rose, people already gathered at her stall. The sweet smell of frying beans floated like a spell over the square. Children clapped their hands. Women pushed each other aside. Men shouted their orders. Ah, Mercy, my husband refuses my food. He only wants your Akara for breakfast. My children will not eat except from your pot. Even travelers stopped in the square, asking, where is the woman who fries golden Akara? Every ball was soft inside, crispy outside, golden like the Sunday. By noon, her pot was always empty. People begged, but Mercy only laughed, her gap-toothed grin shining, her hands oily, her eyes glowing with victory. Within weeks, Mercy was no longer the poor widow sitting beside a smoky fire. She became the pride of Ajegunle. Children sang songs about her Akara as they ran through the village. Golden balls, golden taste, only Mercy can make. Men licked their fingers and swore it was the sweetest Akara they had ever eaten. Women who once mocked her now stood quietly in line, begging for recipes. Money poured in. Mercy tied heavy wrappers that shone in the Sunday. She wore gold earrings that glittered against her dark skin. Her gap-toothed smile never left her face. Her laughter carried across the market like music. Then she shocked the village. She began to build a cement block house, the first of its kind in Ajegunle. Every day, people gathered to watch the walls rise higher. They shook their heads in wonder. Akara has built a mansion, they whispered. This woman is truly blessed. Not long after, A shiny car appeared in her compound, the first car Ajegunle had ever seen. The horn blasted, the paint gleamed, and children ran after it, screaming with joy. Men muttered, "Even teachers and civil servants don't have this kind of money." But nobody asked too deeply. Their mouths were too sweet with Akara. Then it began. A boy of 18, after eating, collapsed by the roadside. He shook, foamed at the mouth, and died before his mother could scream. The villagers buried him quickly. They whispered, maybe it was fever. But a week later, 2 grown men fell in the square after eating. Blood ran from their mouths. They died within minutes, oil still on their lips. This time, the people trembled. Women clutched their children. Men shook their heads in fear. Yet when morning came, the line at Mercy's stall was even longer. Death is everywhere, they said. But life is in this Akara. Mercy only smiled, turning her Akara balls, her wrapper tight around her wide hips, sweat shining on her forehead, as if nothing had happened. Chike was 18 years old, sharp-eyed, the son of a poor widow. His mother struggled to feed him, so every morning before school he carried water from the stream for coins. His path always passed by Mercy's stall. One early morning, the village was still dark and quiet, the crickets singing. Chike balanced a clay pot on his head as he walked past the market square. Then he froze. Strange sounds came from behind Mercy's stall. Not the normal hiss of oil or crackle of fire. Something else. His clay pot shook on his head. Heart pounding, he tiptoed closer and bent low to peep through a gap in the bamboo fence. What he saw nearly stopped his heart. Mercy crouched on the ground, her wrapper loose, her eyes glowing red in the moonlight. In front of her was a calabash of ground beans. She lifted her wrapper, squatted, and poured a steady stream of urine into the paste. Then she stirred quickly, muttering words in a strange tongue. Chike's clay pot slipped and smashed on the ground. Mercy's head snapped up. Slowly, very slowly, a bloody smile spread across her face. "Come closer, my son," she whispered. Her voice was no longer light. It was deep and smoky, like something crawling out of the earth. Chike ran, his feet tore on stones. He did not stop until he burst into his mother's hut, breathless and shaking. "Madam," he gasped. "I saw her. She mixes urine into her beans. Her eyes were red. She is not a woman, she is." Before he could finish, his mother slapped him hard. "Don't ever say such things. Do you want to bring trouble to this house? Mercy is feeding the whole village. You dare say she is wicked? Foolish boy." "But madam, enough. Keep quiet. Don't repeat such lies." Tears filled Chike's eyes, but fear sealed his lips. That night he lay on his mat, staring at the roof, whispering to himself, "I know what I saw. I know it." The square was crowded as always. People pushed and begged for more. Children licked their fingers. Men fought over the last wrap. Chike watched from a distance, his stomach twisting. His voice was silent, but his eyes were sharp. By noon, a farmer collapsed in the dust, shaking violently. A second man spat blood and fell dead beside him. Screams filled the air. Mothers wailed. But through it all, Mercy stood calmly behind her fire, stirring her pot, her gap-toothed smile wide, as if nothing had happened. That night, Chike knew if he stayed silent, the whole village would perish. That evening, the elders of Ajegunle gathered under the Udala tree. Their faces were heavy, their voices low. Okafor the hunter tightened the strap of his leather bag, his eyes sharp as his spear. "This is not ordinary," he said. "People eat, and people die. We must find out what she uses." Another elder shook his head. "But when we search, we only see beans, pepper, and onions. Can beans kill a man?" An old woman hissed. "I have never seen her eat her own Akara." The village head sighed deeply. His stick tapped the earth. "Tomorrow, we will go to her stall and see with our own eyes." Chike sat at the edge of the gathering, knees pulled to his chest. Fear clenched his throat, but his eyes burned with courage. He knew it was his time to speak. The next morning, the square was crowded. Smoke rose high from Mercy's fire, and the sweet smell of Akara filled the air like a spell. Children clapped. Men shouted. Women begged for more. Mercy stood behind her pot, wrapper tied tight around her wide hips, sweat shining on her forehead, her gap-toothed smile flashing as she turned the golden balls in sizzling oil. Then, Chike stepped forward. His voice shook, but he carried across the square. "Stop eating. She is feeding you death. She never eats her own Akara because it is poison. I saw her mixing charms, urine, and blood." The crowd gasped. Some laughed nervously. "This boy again? Go home before we beat you." But the village head raised his stick. His voice was steady. Wait, let us test him. If her akara is pure, let her eat it. The words fell heavy on the square. The crowd murmured, yes, true. We have never seen her eat it. Dozens of eyes turned to Mercy. Her smile broke. Her eyes darkened. Smoke seemed to rise from her skin. Fools, she shrieked. Her voice was no longer laughter, it was thunder. Do you think I will eat my own curse? You have eaten me already. My power lives in your belly. She turned to run, but the villagers surged forward. Women screamed, don't let her escape. Men blocked her path. They grabbed her hands, forcing the hot akara into her mouth. The akara burned her tongue. Mercy tried to spit it out, but the men held her jaws tight. She swallowed, choking. Her body convulsed. Her eyes rolled back. Then she screamed so loudly the market shook. Ah, I will confess. I will confess. She fell to her knees, clutching her throat. Foam spilled from her mouth. Her wrapper loosened. Her hair scattered. Tears ran down her cheeks. I have been killing the people who ate my akara, she wailed. Chike too. He saw me mixing my urine into the beans. I called him. I called him so he would not expose me. Gasps tore through the crowd. Mothers covered their children's faces. Men staggered back in shock. It is true, she sobbed. The herbalist gave me a pouch and a bottle. He told me never to taste it myself. That is why I never eat my akara. Now the curse has entered me. Her voice broke into laughter, sharp, cracked, and inhuman. Smoke poured from her mouth. Her eyes glowed red. She rolled on the ground, tearing at her wrapper, her beautiful body twisting into shame. Without me you will starve, she shrieked. My akara is in your blood. You cannot live without it. But the people shouted back, abomination, witch, curse her name. Mercy staggered to her feet, half naked, her breasts bare, dust clinging to her skin. She ran into the street, screaming, her gap-toothed smile gone, her eyes wild. Children cried and clung to their mothers. Men picked up stones but dropped them in pity. Women spat on the ground and hissed. Her mansion stood empty. Her car gathered dust in the Sunday Mercy, once the pride of Ajegunle, became a wandering madwoman. For the first time in many years, the market was silent. The sweet smell of akara was gone. The village head lifted his stick and spoke. Be careful what you eat. Not every sweetness comes from God. And never despise the warning of a child, it may save your life. That night, as the villagers lay in their huts, some swore they heard her laughter far off in the cemetery. But no one ever ate akara the same way again. Thank you so much for watching this story. Where are you watching from? And what lesson did you learn? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.